let's talk about the most important part.
The boy!
The boy has been found!
He is safe!
Boy is located!
Boy is alive!
The mantis DNA. It worked!
Oh my god.
The Beast Morphers mid-season finale. It's all happening. Beast Morphers 2. The Cybergate opens. Monsters Unleashed. Game Boy Advance secret code. So this episode is a momentous Beast Morphers episode because we are introduced to not one more ranger, 2 more rangers, and it's all coming up golden, baby! Wait till they get a load of me!
He's not as good as Antonio. A bit of a weenie.
So I'm going to give some context into what's happening in the wide world at the moment. The former Blue Turbo Power Ranger, Justin, you may remember him, has in the real world been having a normal one. Just ranting endlessly about Nate being the Gold Ranger and how that's unacceptable because he's such a weenie. And back in his day, the Gold Ranger was a sacred role held only by the chaddest of chads. I don't know who's talking about, like...
I mean, the only Gold Ranger back then was Jason.
Yeah.
The next... Every other Gold Ranger has been a weenie. We looked on the wiki and we're like...
Antonio.
They're
weenie.
all weenies. The least weenie one is Ivan.
Yeah.
And he's still like tiny bit weenie.
Daggeron's not a weenie.
Oh, that's true.
He's a daddy. This has been a small controversy in the Power Rangers community. Everyone rallying around to support poor Nate, defend him from these slanderous accusations of being a weenie. David Yost was like, no, he's perfect.
It's perfect.
He is of Billy.
Only one Blue Ranger. It's David Yost.
And it's Dax. What I found so interesting about this episode is, in a weird way, it felt like a meta response to the weenie comments, even though it could not have possibly been. Like, it was just accidental, because the whole episode is about how everyone's been overprotective of Nate and underestimating him, including the villains. The villains are literally like, we'll kidnap him, he's a weenie. Like, what can he do?
He can't do anything.
Yeah, and this ties in with the arc they've been building up where, you know, the commander says Nate needs a buddy system, he can't go out on his own. It was kind of weird though, because she was the one in this one who's like, he's capable.
Yeah. I've changed my mind.
I've changed my mind. Good character arcs, Beast Morphers, nailed it. We get a resolution to that where Nate is finally put to the test in an ultimate way. He's in the field, he's been kidnapped, and he escapes in the most epic way you could ever escape by just kind of becoming a Power Ranger.
I saw a comparison online and I think it's accurate. It's very much the origins of Iron Man.
Oh my god,
he gets captured and he builds some stuff. And then he becomes a superhero.
So this was obviously a Nate focus episode because we got the resolution to his sort of insecurities and being looked down on, and then he finally got to prove himself and become a ranger. And we also got resolution to his lack of family and loneliness, which they very nicely set up in the previous episode, where he rightly called out the Rangers on their bullshit and was like, if I had a beast bot, I would cherish him and I would love him and we would be best friends.
Like brothers.
I'd initially been skeptical of Nate being the Gold Ranger. It had been kind of leaked from set pics. So we've been kind of talking about it, and I was initially skeptical because I didn't think the mannerisms of the Gold, what's it called, Beatbuster?
Stagbuster.
Isn't Stag the other one?
No, Stagbuster's Gold. Because Stag beats all. Okay, maybe you're right.
Oh! I didn't think the mannerisms of Beatbuster would match Nate, because Nate feels kind of nervous and, reserved. And a weenie. No. But his mannerisms from the Sentai are very exuberant. He's very showy. But I was of course wrecking myself and didn't account for character development, and I feel it's good because they've set it up that he's that way, but it makes sense that now he's empowered with Ranger power, he feels more confident and ready to be showy. It's kind of a Spider-Man thing, like how he's weenie Peter Parker, but then when he's Spider-Man, because he's very confident and cocky.
Yeah.
because he's finally unleashed. I hope they do more with that. I hope they have his kind of duality and his kind of evolution into being more confident, and maybe some of them find that a bit abrasive.
Yeah, maybe they could do a good episode like him being too confident.
Yeah.
He goes too far, he wants to do everything himself.
Yeah. Or even just have the other Rangers react badly. Like, there's like, Nate, can you fix my equipment? He's like, no, I'm a Ranger now. I can...
Gotta do this,
Obey me, Nate!
Mantis Man. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Big bad Mantis Borgs.
It was a beetle in Go Busters.
I don't know if they just thought it would be boring to have two beetles.
Well, that's what I think. Like, I found it a little bit confusing myself when there are two beetle rangers in Go Busters.
I like it because it's part of their duo-ness. Like, they are solidly a team.
Yeah.
Maybe it felt like it was less toyetic, like they thought kids would want to buy like 2 sets of Beetle Ranger.
Beetles were really exciting in Japan, maybe.
Do you think a Mantis was a good choice if they had to make it not a beetle?
Yes, because Mantis is a character in Kung Fu Panda.
We've rescued the boy! He is here! We've been talking about what we would do with our lives if the BJ Stag adaptation just wasn't good and was a lame character. And we didn't know how we'd move forward living with that. But thankfully that's not the case.
It's kind of like both of like the Beaten Stag Busters combined into one character.
I think he's going to be my favourite.
Well, yeah. It's going to be everyone's favourite.
We'll see. I'm kind of worried that the Beastbot curse will extend to him and he'll just fade into the background and just be equipment and something that the villains are after. So he'll just be like the Deus Ex, machina of the MacGuffin of Beast Morphers, and he'll be in the background and make them the Zords when they need it, and then the villains will be like, "We've got you this time!" And then they'll need to rescue him.
They better not do that, or I will be having words with Hasbro.
I hope to see some of his interactions with the other Beast Bots. I hope he almost sort of galvanizes them to have more personality.
Forms a workers' union.
Adapt that episode, cowards. I feel like they won't adapt that episode since Power Rangers is still a non-union show. What's your take? Do you think it was too early for new Rangers?
Well, part of me feels like it was too early because, of course, in Go Busters they were introduced halfway through the series. If you look at Go Busters as an analogue to Beast Morphers, both seasons being 44 episodes. But the other modern seasons do introduce an extra ranger at the kind of 8 episode mark, just before they go for a break. So in that aspect it makes sense.
I don't really mind them coming in at this point. There's 2 things that slightly bug me about it, which is my personal taste, how I like new Rangers to be introduced if they're going to be like heroes immediately. I think it's most satisfying when they come in at a point where the current team are very overwhelmed by the villains and the villains are seeming very powerful. I don't know, I don't feel fully that had been set up for me enough because the villains are kind of just very disorganized and bumbling. I think they tried to do it in this episode kind of all at once by having the Hoover monster be too powerful for the Rangers.
Yeah,
and
which is weird because it's the Hoover monster.
Yeah, they're trying to build all this tension all at once in this episode and then cut it down with the 2 Rangers coming in and saving them, but it didn't quite work for me. They could have had them introduced after Evox had a body, so like had the Cybergate, but had this be a two-parter almost. So the Rangers are being overwhelmed by like maybe multiple monsters. Evox comes through the gate, gets a body, and then like they're just wrecked for a bit by that, and then the Rangers come in and help them. Maybe it would have been interesting if Evox had gone into the steel form at first, and they'd had to fight Evox in that form. But then like the way they defeated Evox was by kind of rebooting the robot or sort of morphing it into a new character. Felt a bit low key compared to how I would have done it, but I mean it's just personal.
The thing is with like pre-existing characters become Rangers, usually you want like a good amount of build-up for that, or like some justification behind that. So like Dolly Kruger had like that whole two-parter, like explaining why he wasn't a Ranger currently, and then showing when he becomes Ranger, and it's like a big moment for the audience because they're all very excited that he gets to be a Ranger. But there wasn't much of that in Nate, I found. Like it's just like, oh look, we have another Ranger now. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like it was cool, but it wasn't very like payoff kind of.
Yeah.
Wow. Finally, I've been wanting this for ages.
I think in all aspects it didn't really feel like payoff, more so than just we're adding another thing to the show. Beast Morphers has been very good with like kind of plot construction and having those like rise and falls and putting in the mid-season and putting in like the start and building up the team and putting this all together and having this through line that they're building the robot with little hints of the robot, and even things like putting the blueprints for the beast bots in the early episodes. Yeah. All these through lines that make it feel like a world and like a one thing, but also are the construction of the show and its rise and falls and the building tension and stuff. But I feel like it's been less good with like doing that with the characters and like character arcs, because no one's really had effective like setup and payoff to their arcs, I feel like, and it feels a bit disconnected from episode to episode.
Maybe they're like trying to, like these first 8 episodes are like kind of a sale set of episodes, so they're trying to sell the audience the characters, going, oh, here's the Rangers, they're cool, here are side characters, wow, we do have new Rangers, and like get all of that kind of set up, so the kids are invested in them and they'll like bought the toys and they'll identify with the characters, that they can then do the character drama with that afterwards maybe.
Kind of the things I like in a Power Ranger season are the kind of character arcs and evolution is what keeps me watching episodes, rather than this one's been banking on you keep watching to see stuff happen. Like they held off on the Megazord because you keep watching, oh I want to see the Megazord, oh I want to see the extra Rangers, oh I want to see this. You know, a lot of Power Rangers seasons do that, but the reason I keep watching them is for character stuff. So like Time Force, for example, I keep watching to see how like Wes and his dad are gonna like get on, like what's gonna happen with Wes and Jen, and like will Eric and Wes be friends again, and like what's Rancid gonna do? Like that's the reason I would kind of binge watch a Power Ranger show, when they kind of pulled that off. And I don't think they've been doing that so well in these 8 episodes. But I'd like to see more of it, because what's there is good.
I mean, like the remaining 36 episodes are the test.
We'll see if they can keep it fresh and evolving in terms of plot, and also add in characters, because they've got plenty of characters to work with. I mean, I'd like to see that. That's kind of my biggest, what I'd like to see in the second half of the season. Thank you for following us on this 8-episode Beast Morphers journey, and thank you to Jacob for being a part of these 2 reviews.
You're welcome.
Special guest star.
Special guest. No, you're the guest.
I'm the
This is my series now.
No!
Give me more subscribers. I review the Sentai.
Yeah, I'll see you again when Beast Morphers returns. When will that be, Nickelodeon? Perhaps Jacob will be back one day.
Maybe.
Maybe
Don't
he'll
bow there.
return.
Mr. Fantastic, cool and amazing, strong as steel.
We only ever refer to him as his full name. Only cowards shorten it to Steel. It's always Mr. Fantastic, cool and amazing, strong.
Cool, handsome, strong as steel.
Yeah.
Handsome was in there somewhere.
Handsome was in there somewhere. I hope the wiki page for him is his full name.
Oh my god, I hope so.
Let's edit it if it's not.